G'day, Mark Holloway, markhollowaytv.com. Now listen, if you've got a newspaper ad or a website that's a bit sad and it's not really pulling any sales, what you need to do to give it a rev up and see if you can't get some sales and inquiry from it is give it a better headline, at least one headline, and if it's a website, quite a few better headlines. So here's how to put a decent headline in a newspaper ad or a website. Well, the first thing I want to tell you is this: 80% of people, that's all they read, is the headline. So it follows that 80% of the selling in your website or your newspaper is in the headline. Now don't be fooled, you have to have a whole lot of small copy under the headline, otherwise it's not a headline. It's just an advertising slogan, isn't it? When you look at a newspaper story or a magazine story, there's the headline sitting across the top, and then underneath are all those little words, okay? And that lets you know that that's a headline and not just an advertising slogan. And that's what you're wanting. You're wanting a story. You're wanting a story approach on your website or in your newspaper ad. Now, more of that later, and you'll find on our website all kinds of instructions about how to use that. But just for the moment, 80% of people, that's all they read, is the headline. Now, the most important thing about the headline, which is the most important thing in your newspaper ad or your website, is that the longer the headline, the better. Now, why would a long headline work better? Well, it's quite simple. It's very difficult to communicate anything of real interest to another human being in 2 or 3 words. That's just how it is. So you're wanting to buy a new lawnmower, you go into the lawnmower shop and you say, "Son, why should I buy this new lawnmower?" And he looks at you and says, "Sir, a lawnmower sale." Well, he might think that's pretty riveting, but you want to know all kinds of information. You want to know that this lawnmower is better for cutting kikuyu because you've got a bloody problem with kikuyu at your place. And the reason it's better for cutting kikuyu is it's got an extra blade, and the blade's made out of steel that doesn't wear out when it crunches on concrete, and that's pretty important to you because your sons mow the lawns and they tend to give the blooming thing a hiding. So you want to know all that kind of information. So here's a sort of headline that would work well in an advertisement for a lawnmower like that. Instead of writing at the top of your ad or your website page, "lawnmower sale," as most newspaper and web designers are wont to do, that sort of crap, what you should have there is something like this. Start with a question. Do your sons hate mowing the lawns? And then carry on with a sentence that explains the benefit. This new lawnmower is so easy to start and cuts through kikuyu so easily that even your sons will complain less. Now that is a long headline. You'll agree with that. But it's a hell of a lot more interesting and more likely to catch your attention than lawnmower sale. Now, the next thing you need to do in your headline is think very clearly about what is a strong selling message that works for you when you talk to people in real life. Now, let's say that you don't sell products, that you've got a service. And let's take something real basic. You're a septic tank cleaner, and you got this wonderful new gizmo for cleaning septic tanks. It's a European design, and the feature of this thing is that it's a completely enclosed system. And so, all the fecal matter stays in the tube and goes into the holding tank. Well, that's a feature, but in your headline, you could say something like this, and you could start with a question again. Worried about smelly, infectious fecal matter splattering over windows, walls, and paths when you get your septic tank cleaned? Question mark? Don't be. Our new European system stops all splatter. Now that is a long headline, but you better believe it is going to get the attention of anybody that's remotely interested in getting their septic tank clean. And here's another headline for the same service. Septic tank starting to smell. Or another one, worried your septic tank might be just about full. Avoid smelly septic tanks when relatives visit over Christmas. Call us now. There you have it. Make sure your headline, which is 80% of what people read in your website or your newspaper ad, make sure it's bloody interesting and it talks about things that your customers and prospects are interested in. That's Mark Holloway, signing out.